Can I ask you the number of kids that you have on estimate? How many kids do you think you have participating in your business on an annual basis?
Oh man, thousands, thousands. I couldn't even begin to tell you just because we work with so many different teams.
Welcome to Start Your Skate Business, my very first podcast. My name is Brett Williams, and I have a very special guest here, Chris Williams, my brother, and a lifelong mentor and inspiration. And he also has a company called YTP Sports. Chris Williams has played professional soccer from 2006 to 2013. He's played for teams as the New York Red Bulls, Miami FC, the Philadelphia Kicks, Harrisburg Heat, the Baltimore Blast, San Antonio Scorpions. He's also played in other countries, Denmark, Hungary, Vietnam, and Thailand. In 2013, he passed on offers from other teams in Australia and in Sweden to focus on his coaching academy, YTP Sports. Now, I chose YTP Sports. I chose my brother to be the very first person that I interview, have a conversation with about business and learn a little bit more about his business and his strategies from starting out to where he's at now with it. And I chose YTP Sports, even though his company focuses on soccer. My company focuses on skateboarding, but there's so many overlaps and parallels. A lot within business doesn't really matter the industry, but we both have service-based businesses that focuses on offering our services to children. So with that, I just want to say, Chris, welcome. Thank you for being a part of this podcast.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I'm honored, man. Your first podcast. Appreciate you having the time to have me on with you.
Great. So Chris, can you provide some insight? What is YTP Sports? What does YTP stand for? And just give us a brief breakdown of your business and your services.
Yeah, sure. So YTP Sports stands for Youth to Pro Sports. And we basically do that. We service the youth sports industry with every level of service, from providing it for children at the youngest level in their youth career, all the way up to still training some professionals in off seasons and just to keep them sharp. But basically what our business does is we train children in soccer mainly. We also dabble in a couple other sports, but our main focus is soccer. So, you can see on our website or by word of mouth or by some of the marketing that we do, you'll see that we basically do private lessons. We do small group training. We train teams. We work with entire clubs. So we do a lot on the youth soccer circuit. So it's a privilege, it's an honor to be able to, give all the information and the knowledge that I've gotten from my years of playing to the youth soccer, just because, that's the natural progression and evolution. Is the next generation tends to be better than your generation. And I want to help to promote that just by giving out and the knowledge that I've acquired from the different countries I've been to, and just my time as a youth to college to pro, and just give that back to the younger generation, so they're kind of getting over some of the adversities and honing some of the skills at a younger age that I didn't perfect or get close to perfecting until I was much older in my career. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Service-based business. We help the youth with soccer. That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
That's great. So there's so many things I could talk to you about. I mean, you have so much experience from different countries that you've been to, starting your business, your professional career, how you got into that. But for this one, I want to focus on how you started out and some of the challenges that you went through, because starting out with a new company is one of the hardest things to do. I'm actually experiencing it right now as I start your skate business, my new company. So some of the insight that you share with others, I'm actually going to be taking some in as well, because you've been providing me information for years, and I'm super excited to apply that and other people to apply it as well. What inspired you to create YTP Sports?
Man, YTP Sports, I don't know what the inspiration was. It kind of developed organically, right? So throughout my entire professional career and even in college, was always asked if I'd ever be a coach. And I always said no. I always said no, despite not knowing how many issues and how difficult parents could be. I just knew that it was a challenge when you're a coach for youth players with, 99% of parents are great and supportive, but then there's some parents that, and I don't even fault them because a lot of parents don't know what they don't know. And they're simply doing the best they possibly can or what they think is the best for their child. And you can't fault any parent for doing what they think is the best. But nonetheless, for the people that know what the best thing is, it becomes tricky and a little bit difficult at times to deal with. And so I always said that I never wanted to be a coach. So I didn't want to have to deal with I will call it drama or parent issues and complaints about things that they might not understand. But so it wasn't a dream. There was no inspiration behind it. It simply happened because as I was getting towards the end of my career, I started getting asked by friends of mine, hey, my kid's now playing soccer, can you train my kid? And so it went from training, a couple kids that I'm friends with their parents to watching their games to being asked, hey, if coach drops out, can you run a training session, to that training session turning into, hey, would you coach our team? Turning into, hey, would you help our entire club? Which turned into a full-fledged business, right? Because then it got to a point where I could no longer service everybody that wanted service. So I had to start bringing in friends. And just fortunately at the time for me, I'm lucky to have a lot of good friends that were also towards the decline in their career. So kind of thinking about thoughts when they're done playing. And so a lot of them were like, all right, well, what's the easiest thing to do right this second where I can still play, but in the part-time, I can kind of coach when I have some free time. So I was getting a lot of my buddies who were also playing professionally. And basically, we were all just out there coaching. And it's like, hey, I built my model on having professional players work with children, which the whole, it kind of led into, or that was kind of just the whole part of being a part of youth to pro, right? So YTP, youth to pro, is like youth players interacting with professional players, and getting their services from coaching. So that's how it grew. It was really, really organic. It wasn't anything that was planned. It wasn't anything that I studied. I studied business, but no matter how much business you study, you're going to get, things are going to happen that just aren't in textbook. And this is one of them. No business plan to start. Since have a business plan and all that, but it grew so fast that I just had to kind of like put the fires out as they came, and then until I got big enough where I could take a step back, kind of really put a vision and a business plan behind it all.
So cool. There's so many similarities that you mentioned between my company and yours starting out. I mean, from being just an organic, like having the business be created just organically, with no intentions of creating a business or no intentions of creating like this large scale thing and to what it is now. So many similarities. Originally I said no to coaching too. I think I said no to coaching on a different reason. And you could tell me if you said no also to this reason too. But I was intimidated a little bit. I was like, I didn't think I was credible. I mean, with you're a professional, so it's a lot different. But for me, I was just like, I didn't think I could actually provide. I didn't think I was capable of doing it. And into what I found out was I was just completely wrong. Like right now, I mean, I'm as confident as possible with any lesson or training other people to, other staff members to be good coaches as well. But you mentioned more about like the politics side. Did you feel like anything now in skateboarding, there's not really that much like politics within it until you get to much of a higher level where it's not really in the sports, like the youth side of things. Instead, it's more of like camaraderie and things of that sort. And the parents, and the thing is, like a lot of our parents, the kids that come to our programs, parents don't really know anything about skateboarding. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of lucky on that aspect where it's just like they don't know where to interfere, or where to bring up certain things to us. Instead, we are providing them with knowledge as their child grows. The parent grows with them and learning. But
so hold right there. I don't want to cut your thought off, but I don't want to also forget the two things I was going to say. So the one was basically with when you started, you said that you were not confident that you would do the right thing. So I was very similar. And when I started, I knew that I knew the right things to do. I didn't know how to appropriately price. So for me, because it was like in my mind, it wasn't a business thought. I was helping a friend out, right? And so then they're like, "Hey, I got to give you something." I'm like, "Nah, don't worry about it." And it's just like I'm here because we're cool, and this is your kid, and I care about your kid, and so I didn't even know how to price. So I kind of just took whatever. They're like, "Hey, look, I got to give you something." So I don't even remember what it was, but it wasn't even always money. It could have been, "Hey, let's go to dinner. I'll buy you lunch," or just stuff like that. So that's the one thing that I wanted to touch on where we are similar. And it wasn't all perfect in the beginning, just because while I knew I could provide the service, and I knew I could really help, and you could see change pretty quickly. I just didn't know how to price it because that wasn't a business plan. Second thing you said was having to do with the parents not knowing anything, and so they can't really interfere. It's the same with soccer. It's just soccer. It's a lot more parents watch soccer. So it's actually a little bit worse because parents think that they know when they don't know. Because like you could see, okay, he shouldn't have took that shot. It was a bad time. There's four people in front of him, right? But like on the soccer side, it's like, well, he took that shot because he stole it. He's if he has to keep going forward, because if he turns, like, there's three people in front of him. His team hasn't stepped up to help him, so he has no outlet. If he turns backwards, he's now going to be 6-on-1 because the three people are chasing him, and he's running into three people. So it's like his only option was, hey, you have to go forward because if you cut back, it's going to be a turnover. So parents would just see like, hey, high levels, like, all right, that was a bad shot. He shouldn't have took that shot. What's he thinking? It's like, well, he had no other options. Like that is the only thing he could have done. And there's a lot of instances like that. And I think as the game continues to evolve and grow, I think more and more eyes on soccer, more and more as the U.S. soccer team continues to get better. I think there will be a higher level of intelligence or IQ when it comes to soccer and all sports, probably skateboarding the same. But we are very similar with that too, where parents don't know, but it's almost a little bit worse because parents think they know at times and they kind of know, but they don't know how, like, they don't know, like, they haven't studied it. They're not professionals in it. So, like, what they see is kind of on the surface level. So it just takes a lot of, like, really what I focus on with a lot of my company, a lot of the teams and parents that I work with is parent education, right? So it's like, tell me what you know so I can let you know if it's right or if I can give you my perspective on it and like the professional side and like what that looks like and what that entails so that you have a better eye for what you're watching so that if you think your kid's not developing or not playing well, no, they actually are. They're out there just trying to implement the things they learn. It just takes time. They're failing at doing the right thing versus doing the wrong thing right. So that's kind of like why I try and teach the parents that I interact with. That as a company, that's kind of one of the things we do. We try and teach the parents so they have a higher soccer IQ.
Yeah, it's really smart. Really, it's a great thing to do. And I actually want to ask you a little bit more. I want to go into depth in that a little bit. Just the parent education side. Do you notice because you're providing more value, not only to the kid, but now you're including the parent? Does that make your clients stay with you for a longer period of time, do you feel like? Or do you just feel like it just adds to the overall experience of just being with YTP?
It's a good question. I think in my own personal experience, and so I'll tell you this. So how your business has multiple coaches and multiple trainers, we have multiple coaches and multiple trainers, and everyone does the same thing, but they have their spin, their way of doing things. The one thing I can say is consistent is when it comes to, like I said when we started, when it comes to parents and their children, and I'm now experiencing, myself with a 2 and a 3-year-old, you know, I'm only doing what I think is best. And an expert could say, "Hey, you're doing the right thing, or you're doing the wrong thing." I don't know. All I know is I'm trying, right? So what I say is I think a lot of parents try, and I think no matter how much value you provide, parents are still going to do whatever they think is best. So what I think has helped me the most from a business standpoint is just always being all I was the reason I paused is because it's not the right word. I was going to say always being honest, but that's a foregone conclusion. Working with kids, you have to be honest, right? So, but I think it's more so believing in something and standing on it, right? So if I say that, so basically, I'll give you an example. Standing on what I stand on personally is my relationship with the child, right? So if I'm working with the team, what's most important for me is that me and the child have a good relationship, right? Because no matter what the parent thinks, right or wrong, or they should be in a different position than I have them in, or if they should have more playing time than I have them playing, or, if I should be working on something individually with the kid versus, they think I should be working on something, but I'm like, hey, this kid needs this. It's a little bit different. And this is what we're going to work on. Like, if they don't like that, then they just don't like it. But at the end of the day, I'm doing what I know is the right thing, right? And so what that allows me to do is allows me to sleep at night, right? So if I know that regardless how you feel about me, I know 100% that I'm doing what I feel as the professional, as the professional here, I'm doing what I think is the right thing, what I think is best, then I sleep well at night. Also, what that allows is that years down the road, you know, out of respect that I was a man of my word, I did only what I felt was right. I never ruined a relationship with the kid over a parent. Years later, the parent can be like, hey, you were right. Hey, I didn't understand, but you were right. And even they don't say that, the fact that they could still have conversation with me later just lets me know that, like, hey, as long as you're a man of your words, you're sincere, you're doing the best you possibly can do. If you can't stop people from leaving, all you can do is focus. They leave, okay, well, I have all these other players, all these other teams, all these other coaches to still help in their journey and to the best of my ability. So that's a big thing for me, and I really take pride in that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I can't agree with you more. And again, parallels within my coaching business as well. I actually tell all my coaches, you are the expert. As people, we are always seeking expert advice, which is the reason why we go to the doctor. And the doctor is always right. We always seek a lawyer when we have some legal trouble. The lawyer is always right. In our field, we are the experts no matter what, even when we are wrong. But if we believe we are correct, we are still the expert. We are right no matter what. So you just have to stand by that and, really believe in what you preach and say it correctly. And going back to that parent education thing earlier, like that's one thing I started doing a long time ago. I actually started creating a little booklet for parents to know what tricks were named and stuff like that, just so
Remember
that
that?
they could stay engaged with their child. And like you mentioned, I don't know if it helped with them being a longtime client of ours, but I just want to have a overall better experience for the family. It's like I always want to say, like, how do I get the family involved? Like, I got the one kid. Can I get the other kid? Can I get the
Yeah.
mom? Can I get the dad? All right, we got the adult classes, we got the kid classes. Let's do a parent and me class and have them all together. And that's really the overall goal. If they have the younger kids, I'm constantly looking for the younger one and trying to get them in, because with our business, it's like once they reach a certain age, they go on to something else. But the younger they can get in, the longer they can be with you, and the more that you can, have provide more value to the client long term, the whole family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you the number of kids that you have on estimate? How many kids do you think you have participating in your business on an annual basis?
Oh man, thousands, thousands. I couldn't even begin to tell you, just because we work with so many different teams, so many different clubs at so many different capacities. So we could be as small as, one team at one club to working with an entire club of, 40 teams or 50 teams or whatever, or, helping the club in some capacity. So it'd be hard to even say. And on top of that, we have our own programming that we do in the winter and the summer, and, just a ton of kids. So it's a lot to manage, but I think I fell in love with the business after the business was already established. One of the things that I did like about being able to work with like groups was that I could get my knowledge to more people, right? And so how my business started is just me and a lot of one-on-one clients and some small group stuff. By getting into the larger group or the team or the camp or clinic setting, I was able to give more value, or not more value, but more information, more of what I learned, I was able to give to like the masses, right? Just because you impact more players if you're working with a team versus just one-on-one players.
So you have thousands of kids every year that are coming into your program, which is absolutely insane. So awesome. When you started out, there obviously was not thousands, or maybe there were, but can you tell me some of the challenges from the time where you very first started to where you're at now? Like some of the challenges that you came across as you scaled, as more people came in, such as like more clients, more locations, more staff, things of that sort.
Yeah, no, definitely. So one of the biggest things that I think I finally gotten away from, and I don't think it's because I did anything special, but a lot like when I first started the company, everyone wants to work with the owner, right? So, hey, we want you. We don't want another coach. We want to do one-on-ones with you, or we want to do team training sessions with you. And I think just by, not even so much that I really did anything, I kind of, well, when I started bringing more staff in, I just new clients, that's when I would kind of have them going to the staff and just because I just didn't have time. And then now at this point, kind of the original crop of kids that I was working with are now seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, and the last class is like seniors in high school currently. So like just by, like you said, the age thing, they're not going to be with you forever. Just by graduating out and going off to college, the original group of kids that I worked with are all almost out of high school. So at that point, they're on, the players that are playing in college. Yeah, I'm still going to see them every single summer. But the players that are no longer moving forward, I'm not going to see those kids other than in passing or keeping in touch with them and their families. But outside of that, I mean, that's kind of how I got away from that one particular challenge. But yeah, that was the biggest thing because it was really hard to scale when it's you and everyone expects you to show up, which is another reason why I did not call the company, Chris Williams Soccer Academy, just because then everyone wants Chris Williams. And while that is it's not a bad thing to put your name on it because you are the face you are. But I just think in some instances it could impact your growth. But I have, really good friends of mine that call it their name and they're wildly successful. So I think it just more so comes down to the person and ultimately the business plan and the vision.
What about your target audience? This is interesting. With a youth-based business, you have two clients. You have the parents and then you have the kid. How do
Yeah.
you go about, I guess, I don't want to say targeting them, but how do you find these people?
Yeah, so most of our business is word of mouth. The child does good and the parents happy with the service and they're starting to see results. They're going to tell their friend who's going to have their, and kids typically they're friends with other kids that have the same likes and desires that they do. So if one kid desires to be better in soccer, then his friend group is probably also playing soccer and they probably also would be better because they don't want him to be the best because or her. They don't want him or her to be the best because, they're competitors. If you play a sport, you're a competitor. And that actually brings me back to something. Earlier in the interview, you said something, you were talking about your sport being politics. I forgot that's sorry to cut back, but it's going to elude me further if I don't give you this. But basically, you said with skateboarding, there's not as much politics. And I think there's less politics at the youth level because of the individual sport. And I think most sports that are individual, politics aren't aren't as much in play from parent coach relationship or from coach to child. And you don't have parents or people feeling that you have the wrong players playing or the wrong players having too much time or the wrong players on the bench just because it's a team sport. So with it being like an individual sport, you either can hit that trick or you can't. And it's black and white. It's not, oh, he halfway did it or he messed up 4 times but he did it once. It's either you can do it 5 times, you can do it 4 times, I'd say you're good at it. You do it 3 times, he's okay, still working. He does it once or twice, he's not that good at that trick, right? But from soccer is kind of subjective to kind of what you're looking at. And I think a lot of team sports, more so it comes down to like, what people are looking for to say if something's right or wrong. So that's the one piece that I wanted to say about politics and youth sports. or yeah, I guess, yeah, all sports really, even all the way up to professional level, it's the same thing. Individuals versus team sports, two different sets of politics. But getting back to the target market and the audience that I'm looking for, a lot of it comes down to word of mouth. Our business is built on that. It still seems to be what drives the company. While we do a lot of like digital marketing, word of mouth is still a really big deal and really big help to what we do and the product we provide.
Yeah. I agree. Same thing here. Word of mouth. That's the best way. Anyone that's, wants to start up a new sports business, or really any business. I have friends that they want to be contractors and have their own contracting business. And I tell them the same exact thing that you just said that I do as well. It's like word of mouth. You do a great job. Make sure you got some type of advertisement, such as like a flyer, a business card, give it to the parent. People walking by, we're out in the public doing these things, sometimes inside, but, not in the public. But, it's just, word of mouth is just the number one thing. Like, no matter how much, like Instagram we have, Facebook, social media, anything, that word of mouth is like the best. So just do a great service and you'll have people coming back to you. More people. Everyone has a friend. Everyone. Kids have friends, siblings, cousins. But yeah, so going forward, I want to start wrapping this up here. So I want to talk about if someone is interested in starting a coaching business, can you share with us, given all the knowledge that and experience that you have accumulated over the years of doing this, what would be the first steps that you do in creating your business if you can go back and do it again?
I go back and do it again. Like, so from scratch.
Yeah.
All right. I think the first thing that I do would be look to see what others in the market are already doing. The second thing I do is I then go into the market and do it for free. The third thing I would do is, as I'm doing it for free, I'd be filming it. Fourth thing I'd be doing is chopping it up the best I can and putting it online, creating a website, creating a social media, and continuing to do it for free and just build up content, right? It's completely free to do all that stuff. There's even some free websites out there that, you can customize and build yourself, or landing pages. And then I would probably try and find a name. Within that, I would try and find a name. So once I start thinking about like what my handles are going to be for social media, what my website's going to be, I start thinking about a name that did not include myself. And I start to try and operate that business on day one as if I was at year 20. Right. And so right from the jump, have everything that I could possibly laid out as far as what I was looking to do, my email, I basically would put together an organization chart and I'd probably plug my name in every single role. And then just as I grow, I'd start replacing my name with the people that we bring on to assist with the company. So that'd be what I do. I get out, I'd look in the market and see who's already in the market, what they're doing. Then I get out and I try and do my thing and, do the same thing that some of the other companies are doing, just doing it my way, meaning like we're all teaching soccer. I'm just going to coach and teach it in my way. Yeah. And then film it, get it online, get a website, and then start your org chart. It might seem silly to have like 10 different roles and have your name in every single role, but, in time, you'll be thankful you did that, because with each role, you want to kind of give a little blurb of what you expect from that role, because people are going to reach out to you with questions and you need to, wear all those hats in the beginning, kind of act like you're the person that's in that role and think like that. But yeah, that's what I think I do for somebody who's looking to start like today. The biggest marketing you could do is doing it for free, because again, that prompts the word of mouth, right? So if you're not doing anything for anybody, there's nothing for anybody to talk about, good or bad.
Wow. That is some really powerful information. That is, man, that is gold right there. Because with my experience as well, like I would say do the exact same thing. I probably wouldn't have said the chart, the name of the positions of within your company and having your name next to it. I wouldn't have said that because I never thought about that. But wow, I should do that now. There's some things that I've been overlapping and doing, and my goal is to get my name off that chart as much as possible as we scale and grow. Wow. Well, thank you so much for all that information. I have one bonus question. This is the last one. For those that are getting started within a company, now it doesn't necessarily have to be soccer or any other thing, but like sometimes people are what stops people. They have this great idea, they get excited to do it, but then they just don't make that step. And I think, and well, I can only speak for myself because this has happened to me, where it's just like, where do you fit in your market? There's so many people where, say in soccer, there's so many soccer organizations and soccer teams, and in skateboarding, in my field, there's so many skate shops and there's so many skate coaches, and there's online coaches that you can get, and there's just so much competition in every market. And that's what kind of puts the brakes on, at least me, when I start something new. What strategies, what are some advice that you have for people that are a little hesitant because they feel like they have this great idea, but there's no space for them within that market?
I mean, there's always space. I mean, when I was growing up, Tesla wasn't around. The probably one of the biggest things. So there's always space. You can't really be afraid of that. I would say just do it, because there's always going to be something within that market that's new. There's always going to, and even just by you being new, people are going to want to try out your business, or they're going to want to see what you have to offer. So, you only have one time to leave a first impression. And if their first impression is that, hey, you make a burger way better than McDonald's, right? I'd rather, have yours, they're going to you, right? So with that first impression, I think that's, like you said, or like we had talked about sometime in the past, providing value. So if you're charging the same thing that they're charging, but you're getting a lot more, then the value's higher, right? You might be new, but there's more value to what you provide than, a big company. They can't provide as much just because they're a huge company. So you might actually have a competitive advantage that your overhead's low because it's you starting the business. It's, if you discount it, okay, then you just get a little bit less money yourself personally, right? Versus like corporate says a Big Mac has to be $2.99. We cannot give it away for $2.98 or I'm getting fired. So when you start, you actually have the advantage of not being big, so you can kind of cater to your clientele as you're growing, right? You're going to have to adjust your prices. You're going to have to give discounts. You're going to, but it's just you. You're not discounting. Chris isn't discounting Brett's price, right? So Brett doing a private lesson, I can't discount that, So I think that's where your advantage is, the fact that you're small, so you can kind of pivot when you need to within the market.
Wow, incredible advice. I can't agree with you more. This is really great insight, not only for if you want to create a skateboard business, but really for any business. Yeah, incredible. Chris, where can people find you on social media, online?
Yeah, like my shirt. So YTP Sports, YTPsports.com is our website. YTP Sports is our handle on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And then YTP TV on YouTube. But yeah, plenty of information there and all those different platforms you can find us. And that's where we're at. That's where you can find us.
Great. Well, Chris, thanks so much. You provided a lot of great insight for other people, aspiring entrepreneurs that might be a little bit stuck. This may have gotten them, pushed them closer to doing what they want to do and fulfill their dreams. You have helped me over the years, and even within this conversation, you have helped me as well. So I will be using some of the advice that I've learned today and apply it to my business. So if you like this video, I want you all to just give it a thumbs up, like it, and subscribe. Chris, do you have any last words before we finish up here?
No, thanks, man. I appreciate your advice and your tips as well. Some things that you said, some gems there as well that I'll be looking to implement as well. So thank you for the advice. Thank you for the time and being on the show. And looking forward to seeing this playback.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right, man. Take care.